Welcome back to another video by Ghostly Gloom. Before we begin, I kindly request you to subscribe to Ghostly Gloom and hit the bell icon to receive more videos from us. After watching the video, please take a moment to like it and comment on how you felt while watching. Now, let's dive into the story. In the quiet town of Ravenswood, nestled deep within a valley surrounded by ancient forests, there stood an ominous house. This decaying structure, weathered by time and abandonment, was known to all as the cemetery house. It sat at the edge of the town's cemetery, casting long shadows over the graves that stretched out behind it. Residents of Ravenswood avoided this house, not only because of its sinister reputation but also because of the unsettling occurrences that took place within its walls. The cemetery house, as it was known, had a dark history. It was built in the late 19th century and originally served as the residence for the town's gravedigger and caretaker of the cemetery. Over the decades, it changed hands multiple times, becoming a home to various families, each of which left the house under strange circumstances. As the years passed, the house fell into a state of disrepair, and it became a place of urban legend and ghost stories, told in hushed voices among the townsfolk. Some claimed that the house was cursed, while others whispered about strange figures lurking in the windows at night. But the most chilling tale of all was the mysterious footsteps that could be heard on the rooftop of the cemetery house. Every so often, on moonless nights when the world was cloaked in darkness, an eerie sound would echo through the town, a soft, rhythmic, and inexplicable walking sound on the roof of the house. Local legends grew around the rooftop footsteps. Some said they were the restless spirit of the original gravedigger, forever bound to his former residence. Others believed it was a malevolent presence, a demon, that tormented the house's inhabitants. No one had ever ventured onto the roof to investigate. The steep and treacherous incline made it seem impossible for anyone to walk on it. On a particularly overcast night, a group of adventurous teenagers gathered at a bonfire in the woods just beyond the cemetery house. They were brave, or perhaps foolish, and decided it was time to uncover the truth behind the terrifying sounds that plagued their town. Armed with flashlights, courage, and the audacity of youth, they resolved to investigate the enigma that was the cemetery house. The leader of the group, a fearless young man named Mark, announced their mission. Tonight, we put an end to the mystery of the cemetery house. We're going up on that roof and finding out what's causing those footsteps. Who's with me? The other teenagers exchanged nervous glances, their eyes reflecting the wavering light of the bonfire. Slowly, they nodded, and one by one, they made their way to the front porch of the house. The wooden boards of the porch creaked under their weight, and the front door hung loosely on its hinges. Mark pushed it open with a hesitant groan, revealing the dim, eerie interior. The teens stepped inside, and a sudden, icy draft sent a shiver down their spines. The interior was exactly as they had heard in the town's whispers, faded wallpaper peeling from the walls, dusty furniture draped with white sheets, and an atmosphere that was thick with a sense of foreboding. It was clear the house had been abandoned for years, yet the footsteps on the roof had never ceased. Carefully, the teenagers made their way through the ground floor, avoiding creaking floorboards and eerie shadows. The only light came from their flashlights, casting flickering beams across the rooms. The air grew colder as they climbed the rickety stairs leading to the second floor. Once on the landing, Mark pointed to a narrow, twisting staircase that ascended to the rooftop. The sound of footsteps was growing louder, a steady, unsettling rhythm that sent chills through their bodies. The group climbed the narrow stairs, their flashlights illuminating the path. The rooftop door stood ajar, as though inviting them into the heart of the mystery. With a shared glance of determination, they pushed it open. On the rooftop, the sight before them was both astonishing and horrifying. There, amidst the moonless night, they witnessed a spectral figure. It was a shadowy silhouette, dressed in tattered clothing, and it moved slowly and deliberately. The teenagers stood in stunned silence as the ghostly figure continued its haunting procession. It appeared as though this tormented soul was eternally bound to the rooftop, unable to find peace or release. The sound of footsteps that had plagued Ravenswood for generations was now manifest before their eyes. Mark, with his flashlight trembling in his hand, mustered the courage to approach the ghostly figure. His breaths came in shallow gasps as he moved closer. The others watched in fearful anticipation. As Mark reached the figure and his flashlight beam revealed its face, the group was met with a shocking twist. Their expressions turned from fear to sheer disbelief. The ghostly figure's face was not that of a stranger, it was Mark's own reflection staring back at him, mirroring his terror. In an instant, terrifying realization struck them all. The rooftop had revealed a dreadful secret. It showed each of them their own deepest fears and regrets. The figure they had seen was a reflection of their inner demons, their hidden anxieties, and the darkest corners of their minds. One by one, the teenagers stepped forward to face their reflections, and each was confronted with their own nightmares. Amy saw her past mistakes replayed before her, James was confronted with his unresolved guilt, and Emily saw her worst fears come to life. The twisted mirror of their own fears and secrets left them shaken and vulnerable. Their reality had been shattered, and they were trapped on the rooftop, each confronting their personal demons. In their panic and desperation, they pleaded with the figures, trying to escape the nightmare that had unfolded before them. But the reflections remained, unrelenting and haunting. The night grew darker, and the footsteps on the roof continued, an eerie reminder that the cemetery house held secrets that were not meant to be uncovered. The group of teenagers, each tormented by their own reflections, huddled together, their minds spiraling into madness. As the first light of dawn began to break, the rooftop revealed one final twist. The ghostly figures began to dissolve, melting away like mist in the morning Sunday. One by one, the teenagers' reflections disappeared, leaving them breathless and bewildered. They stumbled back through the rooftop door, finally free from the torment. The house, still shrouded in darkness, stood silent once more. The mystery of the walking sounds on the rooftop remained unsolved, and the secrets of the cemetery house were buried within its walls. The group of teenagers returned to the bonfire in the woods, their faces pale and their voices hushed. They had ventured into the heart of the cemetery house, and what they had found had been a terrifying journey into their own fears and regrets. The legend of the house by the cemetery persisted, and the footsteps on the rooftop continued to perplex the town. No one dared approach the cemetery house after dark, for its mysteries were far darker and more personal than anyone could have imagined. The secrets of the cemetery house would forever remain entwined with the twisted reflections of those who dared to seek the truth.